It is a bit noisy here on this Saturday morning. 10 o'clock Athens time, 10 o'clock Kiev time, 11 o'clock Moscow time. I hope everyone can hear me all right. I'll try to fix the audio in post, but I don't know, it's noisy, it's windy, but I thought I would take everybody on a walk from one of the main streets in Athens down to Syntagma Square, which is the main square, Constitution Square in Athens. It's where the parliament is. It's where the soldiers, they changed the changing of the guards for the soldiers. And it's a tourist spot, but you know, it's downtown. It's pretty much as center as you can get. So let's go for a little walk and let's talk about what's going on in Ukraine. Now it's quiet, no cars. They're building something, but anyway, it's noisy. It is noisy. But all right, so let's see. What should we talk about first? What do I want to talk about first? The UN meeting. Okay, so we had the UN meeting on the biolabs, and I think it went exactly as we all could expect it to go. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to be surprised that the Russian delegation, the Russian representative to the UN, presented his case. He put out quite a lot of information, though definitely not all of it, that's for sure. I mean, there's no doubt that the Russians are holding back a lot of info and a lot of docs. And I think there's going to be some more document dumps coming soon. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see what they provide, the Russian government, what they give with regards to these biolabs, what more information they put out. But look, he put down the facts. He said this is what's going on in Ukraine. This is what they're developing. The U.S. is involved. And basically, you know, laid out his case that there need to be investigations to see what the hell was going on in Ukraine. Why did you have, 20, 26, 28 biolabs there? What were they doing? What were they developing? What was the goal? What was the purpose? What was the U.S.'s role? What was the collective West's role? Why Ukraine? Why Ukraine? So I think that's a big question everyone is asking. Why the hell would you build these in Ukraine? Anyway, that was the Russian side of things. China, India, Brazil, Kenya, I think were the countries that voted for investigations to take place. China is on this. We obviously know why China is on this in a big way, and they're pushing for investigations. Then you have the U.S. side of things, the collective West side of things, and their speeches were not so much denying the authenticity of the evidence presented by the Russian representative. They didn't really argue on the authenticity. They just kind of said, well, it's more Russian disinformation, more Russian propaganda. The Russians always do this. Anthony Blinken warned about this before the military operation. This is what Russians do. They misinform, they lie, and they have a history of chemical and bioweapons development. I mean, I still don't understand that history. They have a history of these things. Line that you hear Psaki saying this as well, that Russia has a history of this. I think all the the great powers, the U.S., Russia, China, UK, so many countries, have been in the past caught developing these types of weapons, and many countries have used them in the past 100 years plus. I mean, many instances of these types of weapons being deployed. But anyway, that was their line, that Russia has a history of this. And let's see, the interesting part about what the U.S. was saying when they said that Russia has a history of this is that the Albanian representative gave his presentation. Now, Albania it's a U.S. colony. I mean, let's just call it what it is. It's pretty much owned and run by the U.S. The representative said, well, should we not forget Navalny and the poisonings and all of this that has occurred in the last 4 or 5 years with the Russian poisonings? And there I was like, okay, got it. got it. So all of the poisonings, all of the Novichok, all of these Putin poisons his enemies, and the Russians, the Skripals, all of these ridiculous narratives that we've been fed over the past 5 years. Here they are. I mean, we have been, the collective West has been groomed to believe that Russia is some sort of chemical bio poison superstate. I mean, when you think about it, they're really bad at poisoning people, because everyone they poison seems to be okay. Except the Skripals, we don't know where they went. They were just kind of disappeared, not by Russia, but by the collective West. The Skripals just kind of vanished. But if Russia is some sort of poison, biochemical puppet master, they're very bad at what they do when you look at like Navalny and the Skripals. But anyway, you can see the narrative over the past 5 years plus, how we've been propagandized and groomed, for lack of a better word, to believe that the Russians are some sort of poison bio superstate, and they do this all the time. Look at Navalny, look at the Skripals. You see, the Russians do this all the time. They're bad. Putin's a baddie, and that's that. So that was the U.S. And the collective West argument. The U.S., the U.K., Ireland, Norway, all of them were in on it. And it was, once again, they didn't argue the evidence. They didn't say we don't have, they can't say we don't have research facilities. These research facilities do X, Y, and Z, and this is why we're concerned. And, we were funding these research facilities for this purpose. They didn't say that. They just played the moral outrage card. And they played the Russians are bad, we are good. And look at Navalny and look at the Skripals, and you see what they've done. So I think the whole UN thing went down exactly as most of us would have predicted it to go down. In other words, 5-6 countries, large countries, China, India, Brazil, saying we want investigations. And that tells you something. China, India, Brazil lining up to say we want investigations. Kenya, and the EU, US, collective West saying nothing to see here. The US didn't do anything wrong. There are no research, there are no bio labs or bio weapons, and Russia's bad. So anyway, that was pretty much the meeting at the UN. That's how it went down. I think there's a lot more to come. I believe that Russia has a lot of information, and there's just so much dirt in Ukraine, my God, that this stuff is just going to get dug up, and it's going to get ugly. Very, very ugly. Anyway, what else do I want to say here? An update as to what's going on the ground. Look, as I said in my video yesterday, the Western mainstream media is focusing heavily on Kiev. They're saying that there are reports that the Russians are moving in on Kiev. Maybe. I haven't seen those reports in the Russian media, but in the Western media, the Russians are supposedly about to go into Kiev. We'll see. Maybe. Could be. Maybe the Russian media is quiet about this because they... this is, by the way, this is Sindagma here, the main square of Athens. Parliament is up that way. You guys can see it in the background. So, fountains here. Actually, let me walk this way because the fountains are going to make noise. And let me try to find a place that's a little more quiet so you guys can hear me better. So yeah, maybe the Russians are gonna do another surprise operation into Kiev. We'll see. The Russian media is talking about, of course, the Donbass, and there are reports that the cauldron, the encirclement, has now been split into 2 or 3. So this large encirclement is now 2 to 3 different encirclements. That's an interesting development. Some outlets are reporting this, so I'll leave it there. There is some other media outlets that are reporting that the Russian military and the Donbass militia is moving towards Dnipro, which is more to the west, center west of Ukraine. That would signal that the military is secure in their position with regards to the 60, 100,000 Ukraine military personnel caught in the cauldron. They've secured their position there, and it looks like that they may be now making additional advancements towards the west, which would explain why you're getting some activity, or some outlets reporting about activity moving towards Dnipro, formerly known as Dnipropetrovsk. But, Ukraine, after the coup, the Ukrainian government, under the orders of the U.S., decided to de-Russify the names in the city names in Ukraine. So we have the Donbass. We have these reports about the Dnipro. Once again, these are reports coming from Russia. So, I'm putting that out there. We have the reports from the Western mainstream media, which is focusing purely on Kiev. It's all about Kiev. And we got the big story as to what's going on the ground, and that is Mariupol. There are credible reports, credible sources all throughout the media at this point that Mariupol, including UK media, that Mariupol is about to be taken over by the Russian military. The Russians say it's going to be liberated. The Western mainstream media is going to say that they say Mariupol's about to fall. So, once again, depending on what side you're on, you can see the words that are at play. But a lot of reports are now confirming that it's only a matter of days before Mariupol is in the control of the Russian military. These are what the reports are saying. Once again, everything I say could change. So just keep that in mind. Everything I say could change as the days and weeks go along. But this would be significant because from what I'm understanding, the best Azov battalion, the best neo-NAZIs are located in Mariupol. The best fighting forces for the NAZIs are in Mariupol, and they are dug in, and the battles are fierce and it's hard, but from what I'm understanding, it is just a matter of days, maybe even over the weekend. That would be a significant blow to the Zelensky regime. So expect this week coming, a lot of hysteria. As the mainstream media in the West is unable to control the narrative coming out of Ukraine, that is the narrative that Russia is losing badly, and this is a botched operation, and Putin's military sucks, and Putin sucks, and he doesn't know what he's doing. As this narrative starts to crumble and the truth about what's going on the ground comes to light, which is that the operation is actually seems to be going as planned. There are probably a lot of bumps and a lot of hiccups along the way, absolutely, and a lot of unexpected things have happened. But for the most part, it looks like things are being executed as the Russian military was hoping they would be. As this narrative from the West starts to crumble, expect the hysteria to reach just an absolute fever pitch. A fever pitch. Expect more sanctions, meaningless sanctions. But from the media side of things, the sanctions will look sexy, like the Visa MasterCard pulling out of Russia. Stuff that the Russians and the Chinese can easily solve, but stuff that when you tell it to someone in Greece, for example, no more Visa, no more MasterCard, they'll be like, oh my God. Or the news that Instagram and Facebook are banned in Russia. There's that news as well. Instagram on the 14th of March will be completely nuked in Russia. It's probably a good thing, but Russians love their Instagram. I'll tell you, you go to Russia, they love Instagram. But, that soft power now is going to be gone. It's good for the Kremlin to remove that soft power. But, the hysteria is going to be really, really, it's going to hit a level 12, everybody, in the next week coming. And just be prepared, buckle up. And I worry about the false flag thing. I really worry about the false flag because yesterday in the press statement that Biden gave, The reporter gave him the question about a chemical weapons attack, scripted. Remember, Biden has a list of reporters he's going to call on, and those reporters have their questions prepared, and everything is scripted. Everything is stage managed. Everything is carefully scripted so that you can set the groundwork for what's about to come. And the question was, what about a chemical weapons attack? And Biden said that the Russians, if they do such a thing, well, then there's going to be a heavy price to pay. This is the same script that we saw in Syria, the same exact script. Weeks away before Assad's victory, the chemical weapons stuff happened. So as Assad was nearing completion of the victory in Syria, you had Duma and you had all these chemical weapons, false flags, and of course the West was always hinting that something like this could happen. In other words, they were preparing the people for such an event. And sure enough, you got the false flag. So expect the false flag. I've been saying it now in about 3-4 videos. I hope it doesn't happen. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm just being paranoid, but expect the false flag to happen. And once that happens, who knows, all bets are off what the next steps will be. But no doubt that the collective West and the population of the collective West has been propagandized into believing that Russia is going to create some sort of bio or chemical incident in Ukraine. That groundwork has already been set. Let me walk up this way instead of just standing here so that everyone can get a little view of the main square in Greece. So I think that's all I have to talk about. Instagram, I mentioned Instagram, that on March 14th, from what I understand, is going offline in Russia. Soft power. Never underestimate the power of these social networks and how the U.S. Deep State uses these social networks to influence a country's population. It's no coincidence that someone like Sheryl Sandberg is the COO of Facebook, right? I mean, she used to work in the Clinton administration. Or that Nick Clegg is what is he, the director of international communications or something like that. He was the guy's, entrenched in the UK political system. These guys, these people, Sandberg and Clegg, they're not in the positions that they are in Facebook because they're computer program wizards or they're social media experts. They're there to keep an eye on the operation, on the social media soft power operation. So removing Instagram is big because you're removing a tool, a weapon of soft power that the United States and the WEF and all of these Davos elite guys that they use against the country to propagandize and groom a country. So you're removing that. Big opportunity for someone in Russia, an entrepreneur in Russia or a business in Russia to come with an Instagram alternative. Big opportunity there. And I'm sure this is a void that will be filled. So you have that. And the final thing that I want to talk about real quick is this chart from Statista, I think is how you pronounce it. And this chart is the most sanctioned countries in the world, and Russia now is number one. Iran is number 2. You can see Syria there, North Korea, and Venezuela. I'm sure the list doesn't surprise anybody. But here's the interesting part about that list. Russia used to be number 2 before the invasion. It was the second most sanctioned country in the world. It was behind Iran. Coincidentally, you can see Iran and Venezuela are the 2 countries on that list that the U.S. and the Biden administration went to in order to figure out the oil predicament that they put themselves into. But, Russia was number 2. And this was before the Ukraine operation. And after the Ukraine operation, it became number 1. And so when you look at a chart like that, you think to yourself, I wonder if Putin and his officials and the Russian government, the Kremlin, if they just didn't sit around and say, sooner or later, we're going to be number 1. Every 3 months, we're getting more sanctions, and every 3 months, more sanctions. And then comes this fake poisoning of someone or some sort of false flag, and we get more sanctions. And in 4 or 5 years, we're going to be number 1 anyway. In 4 or 5 years, they're going to sanction our central bank, and they're going to remove us from SWIFT. It's coming. So instead of waiting 4 or 5 years and having these sanctions put on us slowly, weakening us slowly, while while NATO and the U.S. and the collective West, while they strengthen our enemies, or while they strengthen the neo-NAZIs in Kiev, and they weaken our position there, instead of waiting for all of this and not doing anything about it, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. I wonder if there weren't some people in the Kremlin who were saying that. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if they were saying, Mr. Putin, sooner or later you're going to have to step down and step aside. Isn't it better that you handle this now, while your political capital is high, while your approval rating is high, while you still have the stamina to deal with this, instead of waiting 5 to 10 years when we have to go through a probable leadership change or a leadership succession? So I'm sure all those things factored in. But anyway, I thought this chart was interesting. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Russians kind of looked at it and said, the SWIFT, the central bank sanctions, the censorship, the media ban, it's all coming. It's all going to come in 4 or 5 years anyway, so we might as well do it now while Putin is president, while we're in a good position to do such a thing, while Ukraine is still relatively weak compared to what it could be in 5 years. Perhaps, they were thinking, we have Biden in office as well. We have a potato head in office. So, the last thing we want is maybe a strong U.S. leader that would, complicate things even further, say in 3-4 years. So I'm sure all these events factored into the decision for the military operation, as well as, I believe, the big decision, which was Zelensky running around saying he's going to get nukes, and the fact that East Ukraine was being attacked, was being shelled for 5 days, and the documents saying that there was an attack being planned, a blitzkrieg attack being planned for March against the east of Ukraine. So I'm sure there were so many different factors that went into play, but the chart is interesting. Russia was number 2 anyway, so it was going to be number 1 sooner or later. Oh my God. What a list of countries, huh? And the funniest part about it is that Venezuela and Iran now are the countries that the Biden White House is trying to get on side. Good luck with that. All right, everybody, that's the video. Duran.locals.com, coming to you from the absolute center of Athens on a very cold but relatively sunny day. Take care.